So, our next little review here will be Library by Frog. That's his name, is Frog. I realize we're probably not getting 60 FPS with this. Come on. Yes, we are. We're getting 60. Okay. Alright, so we are in a first person. The very first thing we're going to do is turn off temporal if we can. I thought that would have been the command, but... well, I guess not. There we go. It's sharp suddenly. So this here on sale is priced at $20, which doesn't seem to be too bad at first glance. And there is a little demo we can hop into and have a look at. And we can see all the shimmering and noise as typical of screen space LMAO. And that's probably going to be something we're going to see all over the place, right? So the first thing I'm noticing is it was really, really hard to jump over this. We've got some misconfigured roughness here that fireflies all over the place, so that's definitely going to need to be corrected. And the wood here is actually deceptively high resolution. That's kind of interesting. So the lighting here is really weird. So I don't know if this is... I think this is probably Unreal 4 is going to be my guess. Seeing as... we have a mesh here, like a hand or something, but it's not generating any shadows. It's kind of strange. Lots and lots and lots of shimmering all over the place. Really, the shimmering should be gone because we disabled temporal, but there's still a lot of shimmering. So it could be like sharpening, and we've got a lot of noise in the shadows too, which is could be a virtual shadow maps. This could be Unreal 5. I'm not sure. I didn't really check before we ran it. But, that's fixable. It's just shows that, like, when everything has super high, sharp specularity highlights on it, is that the materials were probably not configured very well. And, the pictures are not amazingly high resolution, but the wall is all right. The picture frames seem to be all right. It's nothing really too bad there. Lights are super high emissive value. Got definitely a lot of light bleeding and other shimmering going on here. Really could be Unreal 5. Kind of more or less what I expected of Lumen, to be honest. It was like a quarter solution. They didn't fix anything. Nanite doesn't even call lights properly. That's where all of our stutters come from in Arbiter, for example. But, I'm going to think that's GPU occlusion with the hand freaking out there. It's just the hand popping in and out for a couple frames. It's really, really confusing me. Harvesting varieties of grapes. Distillery production. So we'd be looking to see if they're using unique books all across the library. But it doesn't seem like it. It just seems like the same variety of books. Copy pasted around. Particularly in a library, you would expect there to be quite a variety of books, right? It's the whole real focus, as opposed to something that'd be just like, some offshoot, like mini library inside a guy's basement. You might get away with copy pasting the same like dozen books around. Not so much when the environment's actually dedicated to it, I'm afraid. Just a little bit more variety is kind of expected from that. That said, of course, I have extra books I can use. But, man, there's bleeding all over the place. It's really hard to judge when the lighting is so bad. But generally speaking, the textures look all right. The ground's a little low resolution. We can see it's kind of smudging out on us there, but... the rest of it appears to be, generally all right. We do not have access to the different modes here. We can't really get a bead on the wireframes or anything of that nature. But, in general, I like the way the wood and stuff looks. It seems quite reasonable, but man, that bleeding is absolutely... And the specularity is just over the top, just absolutely insane all over the place. Here's a unique little set of hyper bright lit illuminated ding dongs here. So I get the impression the dude who made this probably doesn't do too much work in Unreal in general, and kind of like had a concept and slapped it together and didn't really pay a lot of attention to the bells and whistles and the details, but it's not like it's too hard for us to fix. In the end of the day, it's may not even use this level for all I know. Now this here is kind of low resolution. You can see it's kind of like embedded onto there, almost as if the normal app was generated with something and kind of came out as a little low resolution there. Again, the demo could be using low resolution textures compared to the actual product, so you keep that in mind. There is a seam going through the desk right in the middle there, but given its wood panels, that may not really make so much of a deal. It could well be intentional. The floor is what really stands out to me, is that looks fairly reasonable. It's, I haven't lived around hardwood floors or anything like that before, but I've seen plastic that kind of came out looking like that, so I can certainly believe wood might look out like that. The shimmering and screen space reflections and stuff like that are doing these golden panels no favors at all. We can try to go up the stairs. It's definitely mildly awkward there. And so I'll take a look at the upper area where we have these little globes and stuff like that. And it's not looking really too bad here. It's definitely a lot of rough spots with the lighting now. It's giving really awkward specular responses all over the place. And well, like the little objects here, sans the horrendous shimmering, don't look to be, too bad. And just in general, I think it's fairly reasonable. We could get like our face rammed into the stools. The main thing about the floor is just that looks like a little low resolution, but it could be getting chewed up by screen space, right? We might have a easier time looking at it in the editor. Most of the assets look to be actually fairly high res when you look at them up closer, like these benches and such. Don't look to be too bad. We have a virtual shadow map page overflow, which is odd. So we are using shadow maps. Could be an older version of it, prone to being really buggy. I mean, it's buggy anyways, but it's definitely more buggy earlier on. We can see the telltale noise up there in particular. It's just virtual shadow maps are pretty bad. They've definitely got a long ways to go. And we got some props over here. If you like that with these, you can turn on the high quality reflections, translucent reflections, whatever it's called for Lumen, and actually can probably fix that up a little bit. It did help Zeus quite a bit. I like the cannon though. It's probably not rigged. It's probably part of the problem. It's probably not rigged in any shape or fashion. But it is what it is. I like the little assets and the chairs and such. All are fairly reasonable. This here is... It doesn't look as sharp, but, in my third person, it would be just fine. It would look consistent enough, right? And I don't think there's even a candle flame on those candles. Just an extremely hyper bright sunspot. We can actually hop up these stairs. Look at that. You can hop up them. They actually have collision. That is not something I expected. Some clipping here with the leaves and stuff like that. Looking a little awkward. I mean, in general, the lighting on the plants is kind of confused in some parts. When they're like really bright in some spots and not in others, and I have absolutely no idea why that is. It's kind of weird. the lighting in general up there is just a little confused with the really bright spots and probably some degree of back facing, just bleeding through stuff we can't really tell being only in a demo. So that's it. That's the entire asset. Can't really expect a lot, but it is not normally $20. That's a 70% off. So it's actually normally a lot more expensive than this is. And that's definitely quite substantial, right? Like it's definitely a very substantial cost at its normal value. But I think that at 70% off, it's not terribly unreasonable. I'd like to see the material settings cleaned up and the demo map in general cleaned up and, you know, odds and ends. But we aren't seeing really major out of whack shit. Like there isn't really like Z fighting all over the place. The textile density isn't really fucked up. Like the assets themselves do seem to be at a reasonable enough quality that I can definitely see giving this a second look and contemplating it, because, you know, some of this might actually be kind of nice to have, but I don't know how much the overlap is with our current content, right? But I think a lot of these do look pretty well. I'd be curious how customizable the book materials and stuff are, what the UVs and stuff look like. How difficult would it be for me to, for example, increase the diversity of library, as I mentioned early on, add in my own books and pages and such, you know. With these on the table here, you know, is that like normal map detail? I could put in my own diffuse, right? If it's really simple. Like some monitor textures. Then we have, you know, models that can be reused over and over and over and over again, and all with different textures, and maybe even make like an atlas for them depending on how much you want to get into it. And right, there's some potential there, but I mean, in general, I think it came out quite reasonably well. Right, like when we get really into it, we can see some textile density, but again, that could be just because of the baked builds. But also, with my project, third person, I don't think those are really going to be as noticeable, because we're in first person, we get quite close to some of those. And many of them still hold up despite that, so it's not bad at first glance, for sure.